I took a couple lessons with Bobby Schuh later.
Right.
And then as I got into some chop treble and stuff, I studied with Boyd Hood from the LA Philharmonic. I took some lessons. And I went through some chop deal and some teeth things back during that time. Mm-hmm. And even those experiences that were bad, like I had an issue with I'd learned to play on this chip on my tooth. I learned to play on it.
Right.
And I had it fixed once just temporarily and I couldn't play.
Because it felt that different.
Well, I couldn't make a sound. I was all, and so I said, well, grind it off. So they'd start grinding a little bit off. And then I'd play, and then a note would come out. And you take a little bit more off. And my range is going up, and it's going up. I'm going, take it out. Just take the thing out, man. Let's get rid of the teeth. They're in the way, apparently. We had trumpet players line up around the block waiting to get their teeth fixed. So, but I went through this thing. So what? And what happened?
The time frame here. How old were you?
I'm young. I'm early 20s. Okay. And so I go through this thing, and so anyway, we had to reconstruct this tooth kind of because it had a decay in it, and they had to grind it down and they bonded it, but we never really got the shape exactly right because I went to my previous dentist who had the mold of my teeth because this dentist said, if you have a mold of your teeth, that would be very helpful. So to back up a little bit, the first dentist wanted to give me a root canal and put a crown on. I go, no, we're not doing that. So I went to this other dentist, cosmetic dentist, to do this other thing. He says, so I went to the first dentist to get my mold of my teeth, and while the dental assistant was bringing it over to me, she dropped it. It's plaster, So she smashes. And the bottoms didn't break, of course, the top. So the front teeth all broke. I'm like, perfect. So now I don't have a mold of my teeth. So I go back to the original. And now you have to understand at this point, it's not feeling right.
I'm sorry to laugh. I mean,
it's funny now, but I was at Disneyland.
Just picturing this poor nurse.
I was at Disneyland with a rat tail file. If you know what a rat tail file is, it's a round file. Filing this stuff up.
Whoa.
Trying to put it where it was.
Wow.
And it wasn't helping because now all the muscles are adjusting to this new feel. And so I finally go back to this dentist. I go, we have to put this back the way it was. And so I got some pictures of me and we blew them up so he could get some perspective. And we made it as close as we could. And then, but I was struggling. I go to hit a high C and this was giving way.
Right.
And I actually threw a trumpet into the wall. I was trying to practice, and I was so frustrated. I threw a trumpet on the wall, the Schulke trumpet, and it stuck. It hit the drywall, and the bell stuck into the drywall and hung there. And I was just going to frame it and leave it up as art and just call it a day. Go, I'm done as a trumpet player because I really thought I was done.
Yeah.
So at Disneyland, everybody's covering me. I'm playing fourth trumpet, and I'm not playing. I'm just doing the best I can do, Wow. So I go in and take a lesson with some lessons with Boyd Hood, who played third trumpet in the LA Philharmonic for many years. He's retired now. Really great man. And he didn't know me from Adam, really, but I knew a lot of people, studied with him. So I go in there, and he keeps hearing me say, oh, the feel. And he goes, look, and he finally said to me, he goes, Wayne, you keep telling me it doesn't feel right. He goes, you need to forget about how this feels because it's different. It's never going to feel the same again.
Right.
You need to get your head out of that. That spot is not there anymore. You need to let this settle down, and you need to follow the sound. And I want you to do these exercises, and it was buzzing the mouthpiece and doing all this stuff. And just do this, put it up there, and just play. Even if it feels uncomfortable, go for the best sound. So I was at Disneyland on all my breaks. I'd go into the stairwell and I'd practice. So I started doing this little buzzing routine, and I would go with the piano, if I had one. Then I would do all the stamp stuff, and he added little scales to it. So I would do that, and I would just go for sound. I kind of play soft. He'd tell me to play soft, and in about a week, all of a sudden I noticed I go it was high C, and that was coming out. And I'd been going,
right.
This was given. All of a sudden, everything's back in the mouthpiece. And I go, pop, 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 pop. And I hit a high F. I don't know if I'm singing high F. I don't have perfect pitch. Let's pretend that's a high F. And I started going, man, I'm on my way back. So, man, I started going at this, and I started getting stronger and stronger. And then I came back stronger. But the moral of my story with this is I got into trouble. And now, if I get into trouble, I kind of know how to put myself back together. Right. And I know how to keep my head out of the game.
Right.
And just, if something's wrong here, you have to let things settle down. Because we start twisting and turning, and we start trying to play different mouthpieces and we start changing the variables, and that makes it worse.
Right.
Because you figure, it's very simple. There's a reed and air passing through the reed into a mouthpiece. And so you start changing all the variables. So what's wrong?
Right.
You know, it's a simple thing, and it should be able to find it pretty easily. But I think we get our head in the game, and if it feels uncomfortable, we start fighting it instead of just relaxing and going with it. And so fast forward to now, I got into trouble several years ago. I had a cyst on my lip, and that's a long story, but I had to stop playing for 6 weeks. And the cyst came from weight loss. I was...
Because you've recently lost weight.
Well, I've recently really lost, but back then I was heavier than I was before.
Okay.
I was in the middle of some personal stuff in my life. It was pretty tragic, and I lost a bunch of weight really fast. Now I didn't think about this, but I noticed my chops were feeling weak, and I was like running out of air fast, and I just seemed to be playing really hard, and I'm going, oh man, I got to practice. My chops they're faltering, and what was happening was I was skinny, and my face was skinny, and my lips were thinner.
Wow.
And I didn't have as much mass. So now I'm not, believe it or not, that fat works in your favor.
Yeah.
That mass, you're used to using it. It's part of you. You know, it's not muscle, but it's part of how you do things physically, and including the trumpet. So I was going to play, and I was pushing harder than I usually do. I was pushing really hard, and I was playing Marcinkiewicz mouthpiece with a pretty sharp-edged rim. And I started doing a lot of trauma on my lip, and this cyst came in, and anyway, it's a long story, but
a lot of things.
A lot of things went wrong, and I was very frustrated. And now I'm in the middle of all this personal turmoil, and now I can't work.
Well, and now you're Wayne Bergeron, right? I mean, this was recent enough that
this is within the last 10 years.
Yeah,
you know?
and the impact that would have had on your career was.
Yeah, I mean, it
much more than when you were in a form.
Oh yeah, it's cost me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of work. Right. I mean, turning down things. I was in the middle of trying to play the show, the Pantages Theater, but it was a hard show, and I got into trouble on the show. And so when this thing was first coming in, so I'd take a few days off, then I'd come back and try to play it again, and then would aggravate it again.
Right.
And I should have just stopped playing at that point. And everybody was telling me, Andy Martin, my buddy's telling me, Wayne, just stop playing, but I got to make money. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm trying to do guest artist things. I'm faltering now. My chops aren't. It finally got to a point where I was on a tour in Washington D.C. and I played with the Army Blues one night, and I kind of scuffled through the gig, and I even borrowed a mouthpiece because my mouthpiece was hurting so bad that I borrowed a mouthpiece. So I met one of the guys that's here at the conference we're at, Brian McDonald, and he gave me this really flat rimmed mouthpiece, and it was a lot smaller than I was used to playing. But instead of feeling like a fingernail on my lip, it felt like this. So it was better.
Right.
So I played the gig on that, and I wasn't making the kind of sound I want to make, or it wasn't me, and I played this duet with this guy Mark Wood, this great trumpet player who kind of kicked my butt, and he's a great player too. So I didn't have my A game, and he's always got his A game, So I had my tail between my legs after that, and the next night I was supposed to play, and I took my horn out and I couldn't make a sound. So now I'm freaking out. I got this thing on my lip, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm done. My career's over. I ended up, I went to see several doctors. I got cortisone shots. It finally got to the point when they do a cortisone shot, it would go down.
Right.
And then I'd start playing again. And then it would flare up again. So that happened several times. It finally got to the point where doctors said, you need to stop. Because we're doing a lot of trauma to the lip with the cortisone, which weakens the muscle. Right. So when you get an injury, they keep shooting with cortisone. Eventually the muscle's ruined. So we're going to ruin this. So I stopped playing for about 6 weeks, and I just said, okay, well, I stopped for 6 weeks, and I scuffled financially, and
you didn't know what was going to happen at the end of those 6 weeks.
No, I came back so when it went away completely, and I realized I take like 3 or 4 showers a day, and just like the shower massager beat the crap out of my lip because it felt good. Try to get that visual out of your head. Sorry, I was fully clothed in the shower, and but I let that thing because it felt like it was going down every time I did that. And I had an aloe plant. I took Bobby Shute and I talked on the phone several times. He goes, get an aloe plant and cut the thing, and then get the meat out of there and all that gooey stuff, and put that on your chops. So I was doing that. I did a shaman thing, a healer. I did acupuncture. I went to a regular doctor. I tried everything because my career's over.
Right.
So, and I'm living in this apartment with a very good friend of mine that gave me a room to use there, and they had another house, so I was staying there with myself a lot. So I'm very lonely, and I'm sitting there and going through all this horrible stuff. Anyway, when I finally got to where I could play again, I came back and I practiced with our friend Larry Hall, one of my favorite trumpet players that I've ever played with in my career. He's been a good friend and sweet guy, great great player. He always made me look good, So we got together and started practicing together, and he made me play really soft, and we just play really slow, long tones. In Clark's Day, we go ba da dee da 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 da, and just like no pressure, and just trying to. And I felt horrible, of course, and Chops felt awful.
Right, yeah.
And we did that several days in a row because we had a show coming up in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. We were playing How the Grinch Stole Christmas together.
And you're hoping still at this point.
Yeah, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to play the show because here's some, it's like a couple of months of work. And so anyway, I kind of get it back together when I'm playing, and I play the show. But I gave Larry, I go, hey, Larry, you play the harder stuff. Why don't you play the piccolo trumpet stuff? And I'll play what I can play. And then as my chops get stronger, I'll take some charts back from you. And by a couple of weeks in, I'm feeling pretty good. There's a couple of high ups in there. I'm making them every night. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm back. Right. So we leave the book split up half and half, and we split the money up. Because first trumpet pays more. So I want to split it up and do it like this. It's easier for both of us. Right. So anyway, that's kind of how I came back from this. Now I got into trouble again. So right after that, now I haven't played anything really hard. I've only played this show. My next gig after that is going to Tokyo with Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band. We're going to play 5 nights at the Blue Note in Tokyo, 2 shows a night.
Oh, wow.
Hard book, as you know. Hardest lead trumpet book I've ever played, and on many levels, not just the high notes, but just it's a brain. It's a hard book, hard music, and we get there and it's a dead room. Too. It's like a hard room to play in.
Of course.
So we start playing, and we're sound checking on a couple of charts, and I feel a little weak, but I go, this will be a good week for me. This will really get me firing on all cylinders again. I'll just play smart. So we start playing. We get to this first set that night, and we're like 4 tunes in, and all of a sudden my lip's hurting. And I'm going, oh no. And we got 5 other tunes to do in another set, and my lip's hurting, and I'm going, I'm bite. And now I can still play, but the mouthpiece is feeling smaller and smaller, my lips swelling.
Right.
And by the end of the first set, I got to the point where I couldn't make a sound hardly.
Wow.
So I'm freaking out. And so we take a break, and I go get some ice.
Because you're not home. You're in Japan.
Yeah. I take some bunch of aspirin. I put ice on my lip the whole 20-minute or half-hour break, whatever it was. And I'm icing down and, doing a lot of that. And I picked up again, and I could play again for a minute. We got 1 tune into the set. And I'm going to get high D's, and I can't play. Nothing. And it feels like a razor on my lip. I mean, it just feels like I'm putting the sharpest thing ever up there. So I tell the trumpet player next to me who was subbing on the band for this tour, he goes, what does it feel like? And I gave him that description that it feels like a razor on my lip. He goes, what? He goes, I have this mouthpiece. He goes, I don't really like it. A student gave it to me. It's got a really like cushy, comfortable rim, like a real flat rim, and I didn't know what it meant, but it was a GR mouthpiece.
Okay.
And I didn't know Gary at the time, who I play his mouthpieces now, and that's how this came to be. So I get this mouthpiece, and and it's bigger. It's a bigger diameter. It's deeper than what I'm playing. It's bigger in every aspect. So I pick it up and I put it up, and immediately I notice, oh God, that's just like that flat one the guy loaned me. It's a lot more comfortable. And I go and I get a C in the stem. I go pop pop pop, and all of a sudden I got sound. And I go pop pop, and I hit a high C, pop pop, and I go, man, I can play again. So I played a third trumpet part.
So that's why we all keep changing mouthpieces because we think something like that's
I'm never the one to blame or give credit to the mouthpiece.
Right. But in that case,
this variable needed to be changed because now I have this new scar tissue. So things have changed for me. So GR explained to me later why this happened. So I play this mouthpiece, and I play a third trumpet part on it, and it had a couple of high C's in it, and I felt fine. So I played an easier lead chart, one of the easy lead charts he had in there. Yeah. And I played that one up to a high E or something. Man, I was like, man, this mouthpiece feels good. And we played Rhapsody in Blue, and I played this big solo. And it goes up to a high F and a big lyrical thing.
And
Gordon is looking back at me. He's going, dude, you were just done. And that's the best I've ever heard you play that. By the end of that set, I was playing stronger than I've ever played in my career.
Wow.
I was playing. Now, it wasn't without its problems. I had some centering issues on some notes, and the mouthpiece wasn't perfect for me yet. But the high notes and the meat and potatoes notes were great. The mouthpiece felt like a 5-lane highway that was wide open with no traffic up to high F.
Wow.
And then you get to high F, and it was like one lane was blocked. And then F sharp, it was like, and then G was like you had to scrape the wall. But then after that, it opened up again. So it had this weird, it's a great mouthpiece. It just was hitting me that way.
Right.
And it turns out it had a really big backbore too. So anyway, so I'm playing and I'm like, I don't care. I'll climb some F sharps. Man, I'm hitting these A's like gangbusters, And we played a double high D on the end of that set, on the end of this tune, Racing.
And you just, that same night, couldn't play?
Yeah. At the beginning of that set, I couldn't play. So I'm going. So I call Gary, who I'd met once before, but I don't really know him. I call him from Japan. It's middle of the night for me, but it's daytime there. And I tell him this story. And he goes, oh, what's happening? He said that you've got scar tissue now, and the old mouthpiece is impeding the vibration. And, he had all these technical terms that I don't, I can't repeat because I don't know what they mean. But, and he goes, so what mouthpiece is that you're playing? I go, I don't know. It doesn't have any numbers on it. And he goes, does it have writing on it? I go, yeah, it's got writing on it. And he goes, well, what's the first letter? I go, it's like a C. And he goes, does it say Carl Fisher? I go, yeah. And I go, Carl, I know Carl. He's my buddy, a great trumpet player. He goes, that's his money. Because does it say lead or jazz? And I go, no, it says jazz. He goes, you're playing lead on that? Because that's the biggest backbore I make. And I go, well, I don't know. I go, but I think you just saved my career. And then I told him about the woes. I go, here's the problems I had with it. And so when I got home, so I got through the week on that. And when I got home, I had mouthpieces waiting for me.
Wow.
And he said, warm up on this one. And he would and play this one. And he goes, did that solve the problem? I go, yeah, those notes are better now. I said, but that openness in the upper register one. He goes, okay, I can bring that back. And anyway, we went through a bunch of versions. And what we ended up with, we never really came up with one that does above high G, like that original one did. Right. But the other notes didn't exist.
Right.
So, but he goes, something's got to give in the mechanism.
Right.
You can't have it both ways, kind of.
Yeah.
So what he did was he made the mouthpiece play even from top to bottom, which is what we really want anyway.
Right.
And so now, and I can play those notes more open now. I just make the adjustment in here.
Right.
But so now I have a mouthpiece that plays all the notes, which you need all the notes, I found out. You need all the notes of the scale. You need more than do, re, mi, apparently, And so anyway, we took that, and so we designed the mouthpiece that I play now. The Wayne Bergeron studio was designed from that. Now we changed the rim. He put a slight bit more bite on my rim and changed the angle of a little bit. So it's got a different backboard. It's got a different cup shape. But the premise of it is the same. And I truly believe it saved me, because if I wouldn't have stumbled onto that mouthpiece and kept trying to play that, I don't know what I would have done. Because like I said, I'm not one to give the mouthpiece credit. But in this case, I'm giving the mouthpiece credit. That mouthpiece saved even the guy that gave me the mouthpiece at the end of the set, he's got, give me that thing back, And so that's how my partnership with Gia. So now we've got several different versions of the mouthpiece. We've got a classical mouthpiece and a piccolo mouthpiece, and all with the same rim. And so I have a side business. We've sold 1,500 mouthpieces.
Wow.
There's not many people who can say that. It's a big deal, man. To sell 1,500 mouthpieces. Yeah. And so it's very popular, and it doesn't work for everybody. I think some people maybe buy it and the rim doesn't work for them. But the moral of my story is, as trumpet players or brass players, we're quick to disregard something that doesn't feel, or something that feels different to us, whether it's a horn or a mouthpiece. Now, if you would have given me that mouthpiece 15 years ago when I was firing on all cylinders, and I would have gone, oh, please, I can't play this. But I had to play it. Yeah. And it was better. Yeah. So the moral of the story is different's better. So if you're looking for something different, look for something. If you want something that plays exactly what you've got, well, then play what you've got. People are looking for the magic mouthpiece, and it goes, this doesn't feel like mine. Well, you've got that already. Right. Aren't you looking for something better? So, and sometimes we stumble onto it. So I was very lucky that way, stumbling onto this. And then with the help from Yamaha, and then with the horns and Bob Malone helping me tweak my equipment a little bit to compensate for. And then we came up with, we have this great horn, too, that are matched up very well. Hi everybody, Wayne Bergeron here, and I want to tell you from day one, I've been using Dan Gosling's ChopSaver. I've tried everything else that's on the market, all the names that you know, as well as some of the things that are made within the industry, and I keep coming back to this.
If my chops are swollen or sore, I'll put this on before I go to bed, or even they just need to be moisturized. My wife likes this stuff a lot too. I highly recommend this product for anybody, not just musicians, but anybody with chapped lips or any kind of lip problem. Quality product, and I'm proud to endorse it.